record this. Perfect. Right, so let's just get straight into it. So,
Cool.
so the goal, the most important part of the game that I just, missed out last time. But yeah, it was GG putting the ball in. Was it from a corner or a free kick?
No, it was a corner.
Corner.
It was corner. Yeah, I think we'd had maybe one or two before. And you sort of sense whether there's an opportunity. I mean, a lot's got to depend on the ball, but also how tight the man gets to you. If I remember rightly, it was Mitalik, or big centre half they had. He was marking me, and I think one of the corners before from the other side, I sort of got a run on him, and luckily enough, 10-15 minutes later, I managed just to get in front of him. And that was the key. It wasn't really the contact on my head. It was more, we always worked in training on set pieces and corners, and you probably remember some of the long throws and things like that. So we're well drilled. And luckily enough, it fell to me. Like I said, I got ahead of him and directed. I won't say I really got a clean header on it, but I directed it towards goal, and obviously it went in. So no, delighted. But a lot was more in the delivery, and also even some of the others like Nat Knight Percival. I think Mitchell King was probably in there as well, just making their runs as well, which enables me to get free and get the contact for the goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the way the conditions were, any sort of contact in the box, the ball was only going to end up in one place. I remember I was down, obviously, because you scored in front of the Leeds fans. I was right down the other end of the pitch, so not really sure how we noticed the ball go in, to be fair, from that far away. But I think we just saw all you lot peeling off and just assumed the best.
Yeah, no, it was a great moment. Like I say, it wasn't a header where I had to try and put power onto it. I just got in front of the man, and the pace and the power that was directed from GG's quality ball in come off my head and went towards goal. But like you say, I think I got about 4 yards away from everyone else and then got mobbed. So it was, it was really good. It was a great moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the pitch invasion at the end, I don't know how many of those you've been involved with, but did you get mobbed by many of the fans, or do you manage to get back into the changing rooms by that point?
No, I remember getting mobbed by the fans, but then it sort of settled down a little bit. Obviously, as players, we were sort of trying to gravitate towards each other as well. And then I got a tap on the shoulder and pulled to one side to do the man of the match interview and bits and bobs like that. And I just remember after the game, I think the pitch invasion was still there. I think my dad was probably quite near you behind that goal at that end, and I had the bottle of champagne and I handed it to him to look after it, because I didn't want to. I've still got it downstairs, so I didn't want to lose it in the dressing room with the boys, someone picking it up and using it. So it was, like I say, there was a pitch invasion. I remember the chairman, Gareth Baldwin, getting onto the pitch and embracing with him, John Beck, Steve Fallon, and just all the players and that. And then eventually got back into the changing rooms, and there was a bit of calmer.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I found a video on YouTube the other day. I'm not sure who it was, but someone had basically gone to the glass world and filmed a bunch of sort of exterior shots and did like little interviews with all the volunteers who work there, from match day programs, ticketers, groundsmen, all that sort of thing. And there was one question that he asked loads of different people, and he's like, what is like sort of one result that you always remember? And different on the ages, people would say, oh, we've had some great results against Cambridge, we've had some great results from decades and decades ago, because some of the Histon ultras are of that more experienced sort of age. But no matter sort of what games they'd always reminisce about, they'd always come back to that Leeds game at the end.
Yeah, like we talked about before, probably it is the one that, because it is Leeds United. I mean, I remember, like I say, the sort of, I won't say an era before, but a few years before, when I joined the club, that they were really strong in non-league. They had some great giant killings themselves. So, and probably that was on the mark, and we just sort of kept trying to emulate what they had already done. I think they played Yeovil in the FA Cup one year. I remember when we were at Cambridge City, and other bits and bobs like that. So, yeah, I mean, probably some of the playoff games as well. Previous years, they were massive games for the club. But yeah, it's probably just because it is Leeds United. And like I said before, the Swindon game hardly gets mentioned in it.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that goal, and that was probably one of our better, well, in the top 5 performances of the season. We absolutely battered Swindon that day. So it just goes to show that sometimes it's not all the razzmatazz. It is like you say, it's Leeds United. They're the former champions of England, and that's probably why it does rank up there.
Yeah, it's almost a shame that the fixture was in 2008 rather than in more recent times, because I feel like in these sort in the 2010s plus, giant killings and games like that are much more sort of televised and recorded. And I feel like if the game had happened in the past 5 years, there would be, loads and loads of sort of media attention, highlights, interviews, sort of the whole shebang, really. But information on the game, yeah, it's so light. And one thing I do remember quite vividly is the obviously the conditions on the day were terrible, and you couldn't really watch it on TV. And I've tried to find highlights, and none of them are particularly good. But I do remember the playoff game against Torquay was televised at the Glass World.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it in a local pub by me, and it's heartbreaking how that game that didn't have an happy ending had such a great coverage, but the Leeds game was marred by ITV and the weather and everything like that.
Yeah, like I say, that again, you look back at that season, I think it was one of the first for Tanta Sports anyway, and we probably got better coverage on there than we did, like you say, from ITV and whatever. But it is what it is, and the games sort of moved on, like you say. I mean, now you can watch all the conference stuff on BT, and it's a real good quality service. Some of the football is probably better than what you get served up on a Saturday in the Premier League sometimes, and it's just getting that standard of football out there and shown to people that probably might not want to watch it live or in the ground and things like that, and say, well, these players are good players. They have high quality skill set, and it's just giving exposure to those lower league clubs.
Yeah, definitely. As much as I do love going to the Emirates and watching Arsenal, no matter how bad they are at the minute, really. But one thing I've always sort of been wanting in a way is having that sort of like personal connection to a team, like me and my dad had with Histon. Yeah. It got to a point where it wasn't really like feasible to keep going. We just couldn't make the trip. I think the last game we went to was against, I think, Merthyr. I'm not sure even what division that was, but yeah, I've always wanted to sort of have like a group of mates, group of pals or something, to go down to a club like Histon, because I think that would just have so much more just sort of enjoyment to it. I feel like
it's the connection, isn't it?
The connection, definitely. I feel like when you get to the higher leagues and you're further and further away from the pitch, the game isn't a game anymore. No, it's taken much too seriously.
No, I mean, I'm a season ticket holder at West Ham, and I've got my season tickets. I'd always been a West Ham fan, but I've got me and my two boys. We had the last couple of years at Upton Park, and then now we've transferred over to the new stadium. But Upton Park was brilliant, all the nostalgia and everything else. And now you're sort of, the players are there. We're just like at West Ham, we're sort of called customers, not supporters. It's, the sort of, it's the same. My mate's been an Arsenal season ticket for 20 odd years, and he hardly ever goes. He's still got his season ticket because if he gives it up, he won't get it. But it's losing that connection with the fans. Whereas I think it might be a positive for non-league football after lockdown. And you just probably saw during lockdown that crowds and that were up, and you hope that fans I'd sort of rather go and watch a local game of non-league football and things like that, rather than spend £15 on a train ticket, £70 on a ticket just to watch a game. And then you think, well, like you just said, you can go down the road, have a beer, watch the football with your mates, and enjoy it, and then talk to some of the players in the bar afterwards, or watch the football scores come in. But you feel you're getting more value for your money, and also your money's going to better resources rather than just floating off in Williams' pocket, sort of thing. So
yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think one of the beauties of non-league football is when you go to a Premier League match and you're watching all these, top class players, you expect them to be good. So your expectations are going in so high that you can only really be disappointed. But when you go to non-league and you're not really sure what to expect, and you see a couple players sort of breaking the mold and dribbling past two or three, finishing it, putting a decent ball in, you're like, okay, then it is. There's a lot. It isn't just long ball tactics. It's proper football, and there's that sort of relatability to it because at the time playing at Histon, you were a postman, so it's that relatability to it, where it's like, I could be doing this as well.
And I think especially if you sort of support your local non-league team, you might bump into one of the players in the week doing their normal job and whatever, and then you're, like you say, you're the other side of him or backing him to score a goal on the Saturday afternoon. I think that's really good. Really good.
Yeah, definitely. I know from working in a local pub of mine for 5-6 years. It was a free house, so it wasn't like like a Weatherspoons or one of those pubs owned by a big business. So putting in that extra effort with like the customers and stuff like that, getting the tips, building the reputation of the pub, you felt like you were doing, you felt like you were making an actual difference. And that's exactly the same with non-league. Paying £3-4 for a ticket, that's going straight into the club. That's not going to an owner you'll never meet, you'll never know, and stuff like that. And I think that's really the only thing with Welsh football really, is that there is none of that sort of non-league. I think because Welsh football is so small. You've got the Welsh Prem, and that's basically it. But that's the beauty of English football. You've got so many tiers. There's almost something for everyone. But now with the current climate, I feel like maybe even Premier League teams are struggling. But I feel there does need to be a sharing of resources to keep a lot of clubs still afloat, because I really do think non-league football has a massive place in world football, really.
Yeah, it's the how they affect communities as well, isn't it? I think that's do you know what I mean? I think like 2 Premier League players could pay for probably half a division of Ryman Prem teams surviving for a year or two. Do you know what I mean? Just one week's wage sort of thing. And I think that's where they've missed out a little bit. I think football should fund itself to some degree with some of the massive deals that go on financially, sponsors and stuff like that. And I think you see when they have the actual non-league days, the positive responses you get from a lot of it as well.
Definitely, yeah. One thing I've always thought is if I was like a Premier League footballer, I'd 100% would love to get involved with a non-league team. Like Hector Bellerin recently teamed up with Forest Green Rovers because they're doing a big environmental sort of campaign. The Sidemen on YouTube have just teamed up with Leyton Orient. And I think Louis Tomlinson from One Direction owns his local team, whichever one that is.
Yeah.
And now Mark Wright is playing for Crawley, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone to Crawley now.
So I think in a way it is almost the best time for, and obviously then the Wrexham takeover as well. That's another huge thing. And Wrexham and Forest Green both in the conference with Histon. So I think in a way it is the best time now for non-league teams to get these sort of big sort of brand deals, because they can in a way sort of come out of nowhere.
No, definitely. It's a difficult time for the whole world at the minute, but hopefully that these non-league teams can come through it and be stronger for it. That's the main thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So tomorrow I've got a call with Danny Naisbitt.
Cool.
Any words of advice? What can I expect from him?
Nez is really good, really good. Just say Langers says, "Have you had your red wine and cheese?"
I'll make sure to remember that.
But no, he was good. He made some great saves that day as well. So, and he had a massive impact in that season that we had. So he's top fella. My wife works with his ex-missus as well, so it's but they still get on. So again, that's something that came out of the sort of Histon, the old wives and girlfriends up in the stand chatting and doing all this sort of stuff. So we speak every now and then on Instagram. He's a busy man, is he? So
I noticed on his Twitter he's a football agent.
Yeah. So he does all right for himself, I think. So it's good.
Yeah, no. To be fair, I had to double check. I mean, I've searched him on Twitter, and I found his profile. I'm like, that could be him, but it's been it's over 10 years since I've seen him, so like I had to Google image him.
No, cool. Yeah, let us know. I'll try and help you out. If you need any other one, speak to anyone else, give us a buzz and whatever, and I'll try and get some details and help you out in that sort of way.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, I think cool. I got in contact with Josh as well.
Okay, yeah.
And he seems sort of really keen with it as well. Both him and Danny have responded to me. Oh, hey, Joey, this, that, and the other. So that's definitely like a great start. Really looking forward to chatting to both of them.
That book I said about, I don't know if I do. It's called The Ups. I don't know where the camera is there. Ups and Downs of Leeds United.
I'll definitely give that a ups.
It's a shame. I know all the bookshops are shut at the minute, but I found that on Amazon. That's on the WH Smith. So when the bookshop's open, even if you just walk in there and have a look, I think it's sort of like there's 50 sort of games. This the author James Willoughby, he's based in Australia, so he was calling me and interviewing me, similar to this sort of thing. And I think Steve Fallon's got a few words in there as well, and it's about 3 or 4 pages.
Oh, fantastic! I've just found out on Amazon, and I mentioned it to my dad because my dad's a huge Leeds fan. So
okay.
So that day was sort of a win-win for him. Histon win, great. Leeds win, great. Yeah. So he said, he'll pay for it, and I can use it for research, and he can use it to just read because you can't get enough of stuff like this, and it makes it so easy for me to buy him stuff for Christmas and birthdays. Just Leeds website, just have a look. Oh yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, good stuff. Cool. Yeah, so that, like I say, it's got some good content. It's got talks from Gary McAllister as well, so you get the opposition view, and how he sort of approached it. But like, I remember him coming into our dressing room afterwards. I thought that was class of him. He come in and said, "Well done, lads." He didn't shirk away from it.
Oh, fantastic!
After the game, considering the pressure, I think he got sacked a few weeks later, but considering the pressure he was under and the enormity of the result in our favour, I thought it was very humble of him to come in and say, "Well done, lad," sort of thing.
Yeah, that's fun. Did any of the Leeds players sort of share that same sentiment with him, or did you not really catch?
No, not so much. Not so much. Not that I didn't want to. I think it was. I think times have changed. You look at it now. Even in the Premier League, these teams, they're all mates on and off the pitch, and that sort of side of it for the fans is gone, isn't it? I think that. But no, they were fine. There was no animosity or anything like that. But no, I significantly remember him popping his head around the dressing room and saying, "Well done." So fair play to him for that.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I know what you mean about everyone being mates. I remember it would have been a few years ago now, but was it BT? Maybe BT. They were like, "Oh, before a game starts, we'll show you the scenes of the tunnel." And it was Arsenal Chelsea, and they're all like, you got all the young English lads hugging each other and all that, and it's just like, I get your mates, I get that, but can't I just do that after the game?
Yeah, no, I don't like it either.
No, that as a West Ham fan, if any of your players were doing that with any London team, you'd be, seething.
Oh no, it's not good. I think it's the sort of foreign influence, isn't it? I think. I mean, Lanzini, the lad who scored the last minute goal against Spurs, he was caught at New Year having a party with half the Tottenham Argentinian mob.
Yeah,
so
I think that's just how it is abroad, because you see, for years the El Clasico was the biggest game, always loads of animosity and stuff, but then the majority of those players would then come together for Spain and win World Cups and Euros. So I think it really is only England where you expect the players to not like each other.
I agree.
And I think abroad, all over the world, the fans won't like each other, but the players always do. Because I think that's just sort of like the family sort of sentiment that, like Italians and Spanish.
Yeah, they're in a big city, aren't they? And they need friends and the wives, like I say, they will probably get on and everything else. So.
Yeah. But yeah, thinking with West Ham, I know West Ham usually buy players from not so popular sort of countries where players come from. But I'm just thinking maybe Declan might have a few chats with a couple of the English.
Well, he's best mates with Mason Mount, isn't he? But
yeah,
it's one of those things. But well, yeah, no, we're doing all right, so I can't grumble.
No, you can't. I mean, yeah, Jesse Lingard, what a signing he seems to be.
Yeah, no, he did well last night, so we'll wait and see how it all pans out. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I imagine this time next year you'll be booking your flights for the Champions League games you're going to qualify for.
I'd like to. I'd like Champions League, but I'm not overly fussed with it. I just want to see a team that plays well, like has a bit of fight, has a bit of a connection, like I say, with the fans and whatever. And I just want to be entertained more than anything. If I'm paying that money, I want to be entertained rather than. I know the results do matter, but you want a bit of entertainment with it. So.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I think this is arguably since back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, where all the players were usually local boys, English boys. I think this Arsenal team is probably the most sort of relatable at the minute because the amount of homegrown talent we've got.
Yeah, I think he's got to go down that route. I think you might as well try and invest, even if it takes 3, 4, 5 years. You can always go and buy bigger players if you need it. And yeah, I think that's the way forward. I think that's what the fans want. But
definitely.
What sells shirts, is it? That's the trouble.
Well, it's funnily enough. Last season, Saka and Tierney were the most popular shirt names for Arsenal.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that's just what Arsenal. Well, me personally, that's what we just love. We just love to see, just young lads like that have been, that are Arsenal through and through,
Yeah.
come in and really play. Like I know Tierney, came from Celtic. Obviously, he's got no
Yeah, he
link with
shows
Arsenal.
passion, doesn't he?
And that's exactly it. And you'll sign all these big name players and stuff, but they don't know anything about the club. They've never felt that connection to the club. They've come for the money and Premier League experience and stuff. They'll say in the interviews like, "Oh, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, my idols and all that." But it isn't until you have a young English lad or British lad coming through when you really have a connection to the club.
No, definitely. No, I think that's all fans ever want, really. So.
Yeah, definitely. We want to be fans, not customers.
Exactly. Cool. Right, I'm going to shoot that Tottenham Chelsea
in it now. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully a 0-0.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I can't be seeing Chelsea having doing well now. They got a new manager. I hope they're doing just as bad as they have done before.
Cool. Right. Like I say, just buzz me any other things. I've got plenty of time on my hands at the minute, so and I hope all goes well. Really.
Yeah. No, I'm confident with all these sort of interviews I'm getting and the ideas I've got for this little video I want to shoot, because I'm massive into sort of like content creation, video editing, all that sort of thing. So this is going to be a really fun project to do. So I'm really looking forward to getting started on it.
Lovely. All right. Thanks very much,
Matt, for your time and everything.
Cheers.
Have a good night.
Bye.